Hey, it's Josh from Jestic Culinary Team here. We're in Paddockwood's kitchen and today we're going to do some stuff on QPM, Quality Production Management. And it's a system that KFC over here in the UK use to track their stock levels of product they've got cooked off. We've got two fryers here that have our radios on them that connect to the system. So we've got the Velocity series and we've got the Evolution Elite Open Fryer. And these are just going to be some little tips and tricks on how we can make sure that our fryers are talking to the system. We're going to cover three topics. We're going to look at what we can do on the fryer controllers. We're going to look at what we can do on the QPM screens themselves. And we're going to look at what we can look at on the radio itself as well. The order the videos are in is the process that I would follow to try and get the radios online, but use the timestamps down below to cut to the relevant point for the issue that you're currently having. So we're going to start off on the fryers. Now, things we want to look out for on the fryers, are they set up with the ability to connect? So are they on the correct software? And do they have the QPM, the OPS system enabled on them? Do we need to reset the radio itself from the controller to allow it to join a new channel? So that's going to be useful if we've moved a fryer from one store to another, or if the radio has come from somewhere that it's been previously connected to, we might need to disconnect it so we can rejoin. So when we're looking at the controller here, you might see it flickering on your video. It's not flickering in real life. That is just to do with the frame rate of the cameras. Bear with me. But here we've got our Velocity controller. Now we want to make sure it's on KFC software first of all to make sure we've got the radio features enabled. So easiest way to check that, turn our fryer on. It's going to say hello to us. It's then going to come up with the name and the software version that we're currently on. We saw it said KFC there, and our software version, which was the latest at the time of recording. We're on KFC software, so now we just want to make sure we've got our radio turned on. So we're going to load our menu up by pressing and holding. And then we're going to press our menu button to go to the second page. We're going to go into programming, and we're going to go into special programming. And our passcode for this is 123. And then when we're in special programming, we want to go over to special programming 4, which is our radio system enabled step. We want to make sure that that is set to yes. And then special programming 4A, we want to make sure that's set to yes as well. Both of them are set to yes. We can then just press and hold our menu button to exit. We're now going to look at our radio panel. So we get to our radio information panel through info modes. Info mode we get to by pressing our menu button and our info button at the same time. And then when we're in info mode, we're then going to use our top left arrow to go back to our radio screen. And this gives us some information on the radio and what it's currently up to. When we're in this screen, what we're looking for is ideally our join to be on 0, 0. Now, 0, 0 means the join process has finished and it's found something to join to, hopefully our network. If we use the up and the down arrows, we can scroll through the other parameters here. So our next one is our channel, and that will be the channel that the networking store is set to. We've got our PAN ID, which is the ID that the network has assigned to this controller. We've got our radio ID, which is the ID that the network has assigned to this radio. And then we've got our reset option. So if our radio here has come from a different store, the fryers come from a different store, and we want to do a radio reset, we're going to press and hold our button next to our reset. We'll let our countdown happen. Our 0, 0 will go to 0, 1 and then back to 0, 0 to show us that that reset has happened. And then if we scroll back up, we can see that our letters and our numbers have disappeared. The radio is now going through its join process again. So while it's going through this process, you'll get the FF, or you'll get some different numbers. The numbers all refer to different things, and we're just waiting for that to go back to 00 once it's joined. So the radio 23, 21 is letting us know that the radio on the fryer has found something to join to, just not been able to process the information yet. So we may want to do a refresh on the actual touchscreen itself here to speed that up. So from the touchscreen we can do some refreshing of that to help speed up the radio on the controller getting the information that it needs. So menu button in the top right, we can go to our gateway configuration, and if we refresh our gateway, if we repair our gateway, and then if we save what we've just done there, and then we can go over to our appliance configuration screen and refresh that. And what should happen, if everything's going according to plan, is that the join sequence will now go to 00 on the fryer, and it will be back connected to our network. Okay, we're looking at the evolution now. So let's make sure we've got the correct software by turning it on. I've got KFC 2.41, so I know it's on KFC software, which is fabulous. So let's now just make sure we've got our radio enabled in our background settings. We're going to press and hold our P until we get to our level 2 programming. And then we're going to scroll around until we get to our data communication set point. 1, 2, 3 to get into this. And then we're going to scroll through our parameters in our data comms using the left and right arrows. We want to go to datacom 12 to make sure datacom 12 is set to yes, radio enabled. We can then directly see our radio info panel. You can get to this through the info mode as well. So if we come out of here by pressing and holding P, and then using I and P together, getting into info mode, I can then use my left and right arrows again to go over to my radio panel there. So we're in our radio info screen here. We've got our join number, we've got our channel number, our PAN ID, our radio ID, our MAC address, some more radio information. If we need to do a reset, we'll scroll down until we get to the reset option here. We're going to press our tick here, and we'll get our 000100 sequence again. Now it's really important that once we've reset the radio on an evolution, that we then power cycle the fryer. The radio will now stop talking to the controller until we do that. So if you don't do the power cycle here, the radio reset is not going to achieve anything. So turn it off on our rocker switch, and then turn it back on. Now we go back into our info mode, back over to our radio panel. That reset will now have taken place, and if everything's working fine, that join sequence should have started up. Now we're getting zeros here on the screen, which is different to our velocity where we were getting Fs. Now the Fs mean we've got a radio talking to the controller and it's just waiting for that information to feed through. The zeros mean it's not currently got a radio to talk to, which means there's possibly a connection issue with the radio to the controller itself. So that might be where we need to then explore the wired connection between the controller and the radio. So we'll look at what we can look out for on the radios to make sure that the controllers and the radios are talking to each other. Now we've made sure our controller setup, we're on the right software, we've got the radio enabled process complete, but we've got an issue with the radio here. We've got our little cross next to Zigbee to tell us that the radio and the controller aren't talking. But if we look at all of our information using the up and down again, we're not getting any of that information fed through from the radio. So this is where we need to then look at the radio itself. Now, luckily I've got a screwdriver in my pocket to take my controller down. So we're going to undo the 2 screws in our controller, and then we can just drop our controller down. And then we're just going to explore the radio itself. So we've found our radio on the side of the controller here. We've got our antenna and we've got our power cord here. Now, there's no power going to this radio because I don't have either of the lights illuminated. So let's play with our power cord here. Oh, it's not locked in place. Let's plug the power in. And then what we should get, once we twist it to lock it in place, is our 2 lights will then start to illuminate. We've got a solid light on the power. We've now got a flashing light on the radio signal itself. Flashing light's great, that means it's connected and communicating. Solid light means it's still just trying to find something to join to. If we then look back on our radio screen, we're getting our tick, we're getting the join sequence going through correctly. Now, the other things that we might want to check on the radio is we've got our connections here from the radio itself to the controller. We might want to just check that our wiring there is in place and is locked in. So you might want to give the wires there just a little tug, make sure they're in place. If they're not, let's just get them back in, tighten them up using the screw locks on the side. So this is the radio on an Evolution Elite, really similar, just slightly different coloured wires, but the concept's the same as what we looked at on the Velocity there. So we want to make sure our power cable is in and twist locked, and then we want to just make sure our wired connections on the other side, none of them are loose. And the last thing you might want to check is that your voltage here is around the correct way on the Wagyus and locked into place. So we've gone through everything we can do to get our controllers, our radios talking to QPM. Let's see what we can do now to get the radio and the system paired up, ready to feed all of that information over to the system. We're going to go menu button and we're going to go to our appliance configuration. And hopefully what we're going to see in there is some unidentified devices. Now, the unidentified devices are radios and controllers that have connected to the network that just need to be paired up on the network to their corresponding slots. Kitchen Brains set up all this back of house stuff, so if you've got an issue with the selection on there, we will need to get Kitchen Brains involved so they can update it. But we've got a small selection of fryers here in the Paddock Wood test kitchen, and we've got the one identified device, which is the radio from our Velocity. Now, if we've got multiple unidentified devices there, you may need to locate it. So if we select the unidentified device, we can then press our locate button and the controller will start flashing. Look at the controller that is flashing and saying locate to let you know which one it refers to. And now we've located and identified which fryer that refers to, we can go to our drop-down box and then we can select the appropriate fryer and then we can pair that together. So now the radio and the controller is paired to the system correctly, and when I go back, I've now got a green tick to show us that that is correctly joined up. Red exclamation marks mean there is nothing currently connected to that position on the network, be that there's a radio issue or we've never paired it up before. If we can't see unidentified devices on the system and we want to try and locate them, we may need to just do a little refresh, and hopefully then we get a load of unidentified appearing in the screen. If we're not getting the radios appearing in the screen, we might want to just go and check the connections on the radio or the controllers themselves, as we've just done in the previous videos. So to summarise, if we look in our info screen and we can't see our radio options, we might need to do a software update. If we can see our radio options but the radio is off, let's turn it on either in data communications or in special programming. If we're looking at our radio panels and we're getting lots of Fs, that means there's continuity between the radio and the controller. We just need to help it join the network. So let's do some network resetting from the touchscreen. If we're getting lots of zeros, we haven't got continuity between the radio and the controller. And let's look at the radio and the connections there. If you have any questions on any of this or anything else Jestic related, get in touch with us using info@jestic.co.uk.